So today we have a video of more NFL moves that could happen this offseason, part number 2. I made a part 1 about a week and a half ago. I'll try to leave the link in the description if I remember, but knowing me, I'll probably forget. But if I don't remember to put it in there, it was about a week and a half ago, so go ahead and check it out if you missed it. But with that being said, let's get into it. I think I have 10 more this time if you want a part 3, because I'm sure I can make a part 3 of this if I wanted to. So if you want a part 3, leave in the comments that you do want that. Number 1, I have cornerback Richard Sherman signing with the Jets for 1 year and $10 million. So Richard Sherman, as we know, was with the 49ers for the past, I would say 4 or 5 seasons or so, maybe 3, 4, 5, whatever it was. But he was a big fan of Robert Saleh. And if you look at Richard Sherman, and he's now doing a podcast with Chris Collinsworth. He's a guy that's very well spoken, a smart guy. Probably wants to get involved in media in some way after his retirement, which probably will come soon. He's now 32, 33 years old. So you would think that maybe going to New York is a good career decision for him for the future. So we'll see. The Jets definitely do need cornerback help. They cut Pierre Desir. They have a decent slot corner in Brian Poole, but really not much else outside of him. They did have a good rookie this year, the guy from Virginia, Bryce Hall, I think it is. He had a decent year, showed some flashes as a rookie, but the Jets definitely need some outside corner help. And due to Richard Sherman having familiarity with Robert Saleh's system, I think it's a perfect fit. Number 2, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. gets traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Odell's trade to Cleveland was made by the GM John Dorsey, who is now not in Cleveland anymore, and now their GM Andrew Berry, I believe it is now the current GM in Cleveland, and he may look to move Odell's contract, which has 2 more years on it. Odell is still 28 years old. He had a 1,000-yard season just 2 years ago, had the ACL injury this year. The Browns seem to play better without him in the lineup. I don't know if that's coincidence or not, but if you're the Jaguars, you kind of want to acquire an alpha wide receiver. I know they have DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault, and they have a couple of guys that are up for free agency like Keelan Cole and Chris Conley as well. But at the same time, adding a guy like Odell Beckham at 28 can really bring some explosiveness to your wide receiving core that already has Chark and Shenault. And Odell has 2 more years left on his contract. There's not a lot of dead cap space, so let's say Odell has a pitiful 2021 season. They can get out of his contract in 2022. I don't know what the asking price will be for Odell Beckham at this point in his career. I'm assuming they'll try to get a 2nd-round pick and like a 5th maybe. If it ends up being like a 3rd and a 4th, I would not be too shocked by that either. I don't think the days of getting a 1st-rounder for Odell will happen anymore. I don't see that one happening. So Odell being on the move is something I could see happening this offseason. The Browns have not came out and said anything about it yet, but just thinking about it, it kind of makes sense for the Browns to move off of him. They could use other playmakers on their defense instead, so it's something that could happen, and the Jaguars definitely could use another weapon for Trevor Lawrence once they take him 1st overall, which, 99% chance that will happen in April. Number 3, Derek Carr is traded to the Chicago Bears. So Derek Carr has 2 years left on his contract for around $42 million total. The Bears have this win-now defense that's been that way since Khalil Mack was acquired in 2018. But the thing that always stumps the Bears is that they don't have good enough play at the quarterback position. Now, Mitch Trubisky's a free agent. They did not pick up his 5th-year option. There's rumors that he might re-sign with Chicago for a 1 or 2 year deal, which I could see happening. But if you're Chicago, and I believe Chicago is going to franchise tag Allen Robinson, I could be wrong. But if you're Chicago, you should really try to get a quarterback in there that can win. I don't think Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback, but Derek Carr is coming off his best season of his career since like 2014, 2015, whenever Derek Carr had that breakout year in year 2, I think it was for him. But he's now going to be 30 years old. He, is on that contract for 2 more years left. Not a lot of dead cap money as well, in case that doesn't turn out well. But the Bears have been running out these mediocre to below average quarterbacks for the past few years, whether it's Chase Daniel, Mitch Trubisky. They tried Nick Foles. That didn't work out. I say go ahead and get Derek Carr. At least with Derek Carr, you know what you're getting. You have guys there like Allen Robinson, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, Jimmy Graham if he returns there, Anthony Miller if he returns. So you have some receiving options there, and the running game got a lot better. I think Derek Carr is a clear upgrade over Mitch Trubisky. So I don't know how much it would cost. Maybe, once again, a 2nd-round pick. I don't know if he would cost a 1st-round pick, Derek Carr. I'm sure the Raiders would ask for that, but realistically, I think Carr can go for a second rounder and a fourth rounder, maybe a late pick for 2022 as well, something along those lines. But I don't think it'll cost a crazy amount. So if Chicago's serious about making a run and making an upgrade at quarterback, I think Derek Carr is a realistic option. Number 4, Leonard Williams signs with the Giants for 4 years and $68 million. So I honestly have no idea where Leonard Williams will end up, but it's still hard for me to imagine that the Giants gave up 2 mid-round draft picks for this guy to let him walk a year and a half later, especially coming off a career year of 11.5 sacks and playing very well the entire year. So, he played very well. He should get paid handsomely. I expect it to be somewhere around 17, 18, 19. He might be seeking $20 million per year. He wants to get paid a lot. The Giants offered him a fair contract last year. He turned it down, played on the franchise tag this year. He's still 27 years old, I believe. So, that stuff, or it might be 26 actually. But there's a chance that he hits the open market and sees what he can get. But with this offseason of the salary cap coming down, maybe his, salary won't be outrageous. It might be $15, $16 million per year. And I can see the Giants getting him because other teams are not going to meet his asking price. I think he wants to stay with the Giants. We'll find out what happens, but it's still hard for me to believe that the Giants gave up those draft picks, had Leonard Williams play like an animal this year, and then, just let him walk. I don't see that happening, honestly, so I think 4 years and $68 million, something around there, will probably happen for Leonard Williams and the Giants. For number 5, Branden Sheriff, the right guard, signs with the Baltimore Ravens for 4 years and $55 million. So the Ravens had a lot of issues replacing the great future Hall of Famer, most likely Marshall Yanda, once he retired at the end of 2019. They tried to replace him with guys, who were they? Ben Powers, Tyree Phillips, DJ Fluker. They were not the answer at right guard, and Branden Sheriff's been awesome since entering the league in 2015, I believe it was. He's an awesome run blocker. I think he's like 6'5", 320. He'd be a really good fit for this Ravens scheme, a scheme that likes to run the ball a lot. So I think it would make sense. Can Baltimore afford it? I think they might have to cut some guys and let some guys like Yannick Ngakoue walk in the offseason, but it probably is possible. They still have to get a Lamar Jackson extension done as well, so that's something to keep in mind. But I do think at right guard, Branden Sheriff would be a perfect fit for Baltimore. Number 6, wide receiver JuJu SmithSchuster signs with the Jets for 4 years and $60 million. So if you're Pittsburgh, it's kind of interesting to see how they go about this. I mean, Pittsburgh does have a roster with some guys making a decent amount of money. I don't think TJ Watt got his big extension yet. Of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick, I don't know if he did, maybe, but they still have to pay other guys. I don't know if paying JuJu SmithSchuster is a necessity for Pittsburgh right now. It seemed like the Jets has a lot of cap space, as we know. So, ever since Antonio Brown left, it's been a couple of underwhelming seasons in a way for JuJu. He has not reached 900 yards, I believe, since then. He had over 90 receptions this year. It wasn't a lot of yards per catch, but still, he's a pretty reliable slot guy. He can also play on the outside. He's mostly played slot throughout his career, but does play a decent amount outside as well. The Jets do have Jamison Crowder in the slot. They have Denzel Mims on the outside, who looked like a pretty decent player, honestly, for a rookie out of Baylor when he was playing. He did miss a decent amount of games, about half the year, but when he was in there, he looked like he was pretty legit. They have Brashad Perriman, who's a free agent. They'll probably let him walk. So there is another outside option open, and I think JuJu might be a guy to put in there, whether it's for Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever the quarterback for the Jets is, Deshaun Watson. So we'll see. But I think JuJu would be a nice fit for the Jets due to their salary cap being so large and then being able to afford him. But as I said, since Antonio Brown left, JuJu has not really taken over those wide receiver one duties. And, the Steelers now have guys like Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, James Washington. It seems like every wide receiver they draft turns to gold. So they don't need to keep JuJu is what I'm saying. They have other guys to pay as well. So I think it's possible that JuJu can end up with the Jets. Next, we have outside linebacker Shaq Barrett stays with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 4 years and $75 million. So I think Shaq Barrett had about 3 sacks in the championship game on Sunday. In my other off-season prediction video, or moves that could happen video, I should say, I had Chris Godwin going to Washington. And if that actually happens, then Shaq Barrett would be able to stay with the Buccaneers. They would have the cap space to do so. So I think Shaq Barrett, the past 2 years, of course, had like 19.5 sacks 2 years ago, had another really solid year in 2020. He's still 28 years old. I want my Giants to get him. I don't really see that happening, but he's been a really great player along with Jason Pierre-Paul as an outside linebacker duo. It was a great signing by them. He signed for 1 year, $4 million in 2019's offseason, was franchise tagged last year, once again put up good numbers, so I could see him making a lot of money. I just think when you have a guy like Tom Brady at quarterback and you have this win-now window, you might as well stick with your combination of really good pass rushers in JPP and Shaq Barrett. So if they can afford him, I think they bring him back. It wouldn't shock me if they let him go, but I still think in this scenario I would have the Buccaneers keeping Shaq Barrett for 4 years, $75 million. All right, so for the last three, we have some quarterbacks to go over here. Quarterback Matt Stafford is traded to the 49ers. So the Lions' new GM, Brad Holmes, spoke about the future of Matthew Stafford in his press conference. Kind of left the door open. Then a few days ago, I typed this script before that happened actually, but a few days ago, we kind of got the confirmation that Matt Stafford's most likely going to be traded, and I think the 49ers makes a lot of sense. The Niners have a quarterback problem. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, can be cut right now, and they can save $24 million. So I think that makes all the sense in the world. Not to say Jimmy Garoppolo is trash, but he doesn't stay healthy. Not to say Stafford does, but the upside of Matt Stafford is a lot higher than Jimmy Garoppolo. And Stafford's only 32. I think he has a lot left in the tank if he stays healthy. That's a lot to ask for, of course. But playing in Kyle Shanahan's system, which is awesome for quarterbacks, with George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, I think sounds like a dream for the Niners offense. It'd be nice to re-sign Trent Williams at left tackle as well if they can afford that. But Stafford does have a big contract, and I don't know what type of draft compensation it will take to trade for Stafford. You don't want to give up I think they have the 12th overall pick. You don't want to give that up if you're the Niners, but if you have to, maybe you do that because you do have a win-now Super Bowl roster. They have a lot of good young players on rookie contracts still. So, look, they could do that. I mean, you're talking about Nick Bosa, Javon Kinlaw, the two wide receivers. Like, they have good players, Fred Warner, still on rookie contracts. Like, I feel like now is the time to go all in if you're the Niners. So, Matt Stafford's not a guarantee to stay healthy, but you have to take risk. You can't go into another year of Jimmy Garoppolo and CJ Beathard and whoever else they got. Josh Rosen's there now. Josh Rosen maybe is the starter next year. I doubt it, but I just think they have to go all in next year. So if they do that and it works, you look like geniuses, and the Niners would have a 2 or 3 year window with Stafford, maybe even more if he plays well, to win some championships, and that's what you're playing for. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I could see him going to other teams like Washington. The Colts would make sense. I don't think he'll be in Detroit, though. I just don't see that happening. I think Matt Stafford will actually get traded somewhere else. Speaking of Washington, Sam Darnold is traded to the Washington football team. So Washington needs a quarterback. They tried it with Dwayne Haskins. They tried Kyle Allen. They tried Alex Smith. Didn't really work. Now, the Washington football team has the 19th overall pick in this draft. They will not have a chance at the top 3 or 4 guys. Maybe they get a Mac Jones. I mean, that's kind of pushing it a bit. Depends how he does at the Senior Bowl this week and all that kind of stuff. But still, like, do you even want to invest your future in Mac Jones? I don't know if they want that. So the Jets and Robert Saleh made it public that they really have no commitment to Sam Darnold. Every time that Robert Saleh was asked about Sam Darnold, it's a lot of compliments, but no commitment. So there's also a chance they take Deshaun Watson or trade for Deshaun Watson. They could take a quarterback at 2. I think Sam Darnold could be the Jets quarterback next year, but I'm not banking on it. So I think it's possible a trade could happen. And for Washington, you have a win-now defense. They have some talent. They have, of course, Terry McLaurin, the tight end Logan Thomas, Cam Sims on the outside is not too bad. So they have some talent there at receiver. And it might take, it probably won't take a first-round pick to get Darnold. I could see a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick getting it done. Joe Douglas has stockpiled, the Jets GM Joe Douglas has stockpiled on draft picks since being there. So once again, if you can get a second and a fourth or a second, fourth, and a sixth or something like that for Sam Darnold, I could see the Jets and Washington pulling the trigger on a trade like that. So we'll find out. I think Sam Darnold, though, has a legit chance to be traded, of course. And lastly, Carson Wentz. A lot of questions about his future. I think there's more clarity now once Doug Peterson left. There seemed to be a lot of disagreement between Doug Peterson and the ownership. I think Doug Peterson, honestly, wanted Jalen Hurts to be the starter next year. I don't think ownership saw eye to eye with him. So I think because of that mainly happening and maybe some of the Week 17 stuff as well, Doug Peterson's out and Carson Wentz stays. So I think Carson Wentz will stay with the Philadelphia Eagles. And, when you're Jeffrey Lurie, who I think is the owner of the Eagles, and you pay Carson Wentz $128 million, you for sure want to make that work. You want to be sure that Carson Wentz is not good at all. I think 1 year of Carson Wentz sucking out of 4 or 5 years in his career, I think it was 5 years of his career, is not enough evidence to know that Carson Wentz is completely finished. I think Carson Wentz is a talented guy, and as long as he gets his head on straight and fixes some of his mechanics, he'll be fine. They have a new coach there. We'll see what he can do with Carson Wentz, but Wentz will be there next year, I feel like. Is Jalen Hurts there? We'll find out. I feel like maybe Hurts gets traded. It's kind of, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I feel like it'd be weird for the Eagles to run it back with the same quarterback room once again because there was a lot of awkwardness there last year. So I don't know if Wentz and Hurts will be back, but, I guess we'll find out. But I do see Wentz staying in Philly based on Doug Peterson moving on. So that'll do it. Leave in the comments where you think these guys will go. Which ones did you think were realistic? Which ones did you not like? And all those kind of things. But once again, if you want a part 3, leave it in the comments. I'll be glad to do so. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time.